All right, so we talked about normal distribution, binomial distribution. Now let's going to go to probability distribution also. Add that in there to make sure we understand what's going on and have that. All right, so here we're going to use this table for questions 4 and 5. So they give you this table. They give you the X value, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95. That could be like test scores. That could be like people's blood pressure, maybe. I don't know. But then that's the percentage of actually getting that number. So that test score, blood pressure, whatever. So find the mean of the probability distribution. So this is a probability distribution. Probability distribution. It's a table here. It has probabilities on this side, the number here. So when it comes to this part, remember when we did expected value, all we did was just add in some more parts on this side and this side over here. And we just found the value and actually found, let me add them up, found the total. So pretty much that's the only difference between probability distribution and expected value. That was the only difference. So when we're trying to find our mean, all we're going to do is multiply these together and then add them up. And you can put that all in the calculator at one time and actually find the answer. So that's going to be 75 times 0.12 plus 80 times 0.23 plus 85 times 0.42 plus 90 times 0.11 plus 95 times 0.12. So again, you just add that up and your final answer would just be out the way. You guys can't see what I had. There was something there. All right, so when we put them all together, we get 84.4%. All right, and so that's your mean. That's all you got to do, guys. Woo! All right. One quick thing before we move forward into the next part is don't forget. Remember, your probabilities must equal 100 or equal 1. So just as a quick reminder here, that if I take away any one of these, but let's say I put an X right here, to find that missing one, and say we just don't know what that is, that's your X. If we were trying to find that missing one so we can find out all the probabilities and everything, you would just go ahead and add all these up and subtract it from 1, and you actually find your answer. You'll find that missing piece. So we do 0.12 plus 0.42 plus 11 plus 12, whatever that answer is, because I don't know what that answer is off the top of my head. If we subtract that from 100, well, from 1, subtract all that from 1, it'll give us the answer that we're looking for. And if we look here, that's 0.23. So if that happens, like on a final exam or anything of that sort, like something's missing, you just have to do that part to find it. Easy, simple, not hard. All right, so with that being said, because, yeah, that's not hard. So the question here is going to be for number 5, what is the probability of at least 85, of getting at least 85, or having an 85? So with that, if you talk about at least 85, let's say at least 85, the probability here means 85 and more, right? So we're going to say X is greater than or equal to 85. So we talked about inequalities and stuff too, so we've seen that part. So that means here, we look at the numbers that are 85, the probabilities for those that are 85 and higher. So here, let's find that real quick. So that means we're talking about this part right here, 85 and higher. And again, this is for number 5. So we're talking about that probability, that's 0.42 plus 0.11 plus 0.12. And put that back again for number 5. We go ahead and add those up, and we get 0.65, or we can say 65%. One of those. So that's the probability of it being greater than or equal to 85. So at least 85, so 85 or more. There you go. All right, and then let's go to our very last question, guys, which is talking about right triangles. And we hit right triangles about once, but I just want to make sure we hit it again just to do it. All right, so here it says a yacht is anchored 90 feet offshore from the base of a lighthouse. The angle of elevation from the boat to the top of the lighthouse is 26 degrees. The distance between the yacht and the top of the lighthouse is 100 feet. What is the height of the lighthouse to the nearest foot? That's what we're trying to find. So we're going to have to draw this out so we can see like what really is going on and then go from there. And it's going to be so easy, guys. Right, so let's do that. Let's go for it. Let's draw this out. So I'm going to draw my yacht as like a little random little boat right here. I don't have the drawing skills of a wonderful wonderful artist. So we have a yacht here. We said our boat is our yacht is anchored 90 feet from the shore, offshore from the base of the lighthouse. So here we're gonna have our lighthouse here. And our light shining, kind of like a mushroom cloud, like explode. Sorry, that's not supposed to be what it is though. All right, so that's a lighthouse. So we know 90 feet away from the shore, from the base of the tower, is 90 feet. A lighthouse, sorry. We know we talked about angle of elevation, and we know, remember, angle of elevation was from the ground up, or from the ground up this way. Either way. So here, if we're talking about from the ground up, so angle of elevation, the ground's here, going up to the top of the lighthouse is 26 degrees. Right. And then it says the distance between the yacht and the top of the lighthouse. So the yacht here, top of the lighthouse is right there. That's 100 feet. All right, and they say, okay, now what is the height of the lighthouse to the nearest foot? So this side right here, find that. So with it, we're talking about right triangles. So we have to label our triangle first. So we know this makes a right angle right here, going up and everything. So that makes a right angle. So we have to label our sides. That means we're talking about SOHCAHTOA, whichever one you can call it. Which means we're talking about our ratios and labeling our sides of opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse. So if the angle is here, we said opposite of that's across from it. It's our opposite side right here. Our adjacent side means next to. And our hypotenuse is the longest side. So the side right here. And so again, we're trying to find the opposite side. And they gave us two sides already. So we're kind of good. We can use multiple things here to work it out. We can use this trig part. We can do this, SOHCAHTOA, or we can use Pythagorean theorem, which I'm going to do like 3 different ways of doing this. So that way you can choose whichever one popped into your mind first, you use that way. And the answers will still be like the same or very, very similar. So here, I'm going to start off with the opposite and the adjacent one, just to do it. Remember, opposite over adjacent is tangent. And so we do tangent of the angle, which is 26. Our opposite side is here. We're going to label that X next. And then our adjacent side is 90. Adjacent side. All right, so here we're going to do 90. We're going to multiply both sides by 90. Let's do that real quick. Multiply both sides by 90. Let me write it a different color so you guys can see it. 90, 90. All right, so here we get 90 tan 26 equals the opposite side, or X. If we put that into the calculator, we'll get approximately 44 feet. I call that X for the opposite side. All right, so that's that one. That's using opposite and adjacent. But we also have the hypotenuse too. So we can actually do opposite and hypotenuse, which is sine. Tangent was opposite of adjacent. Sine is opposite of hypotenuse. So we're going to do sine 26 equals the opposite side of our hypotenuse, which is 100. Again, like before, we're going to multiply both sides by 100 to get rid of that. Multiply both sides by 100, so we get 100 sine 26 equals opposite. And if you put that in the calculator too, it'll estimate, because we're talking about the nearest foot, be about 44 feet. And we're going to call that x2 for opposite. All right, so we found those. So the last part here is we can use SOHCAHTOA. Not SOHCAHTOA, but Pythagorean theorem. Remember, a squared plus b squared equals c squared? All right, so we know it doesn't matter which one's a, which one's b, but we know c is going to be our hypotenuse. So the hypotenuse, the longest side is always c. So we know that. The other two don't really matter. So I'm going to label this as a, and this is b. Side a and side b. So if we're going to do that, here, a is 90, so 90 squared, plus b, which we don't know, so we keep that b squared, equals c, which is 100 squared. All right, so here, I'm going to go ahead and put this. I'm going to put it all in the calculator at one time, guys. I'm not going to actually do extra work and all that stuff. Yeah, so I think you guys, hopefully, I don't know if y'all can see that. Let me try to see it. Let me move this up a little bit more. So we have some white space. All right, so we have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. A we said was 90. B we don't know. C is 100. All right, we're going to move the 90 squared over because we're going to get b by itself. So 100 squared minus 90 squared. But then again, we're trying to get b by itself. So we square root both sides. Get b equals the square root of 100 minus 90, 100 squared minus 90 squared. And so let's go and put that in the calculator and let's see what we get there, because it might be the same thing. Hey, let's find out. So again, square root of 100 squared minus 90 squared. Oh, sorry, wrong thing. Let's go to the next line. So square root of 100 squared minus 90 squared. And it gives us the same answer. Here, a 43.58, blah, blah, blah. Rounded to the nearest foot is still 44 feet. So no matter which way you do it, guys, I showed you 3 different ways of doing it with this problem. And because we have that, we can choose either way and we'll still get the same answer. So here, the biggest part is make sure you set up your triangle correctly. Set up your triangle correctly. And then label what you got to label. And then let's go for it. So you can do trig. You can use SOHCAHTOA for trig, sorry. Or you can use the Pythagorean theorem. Either way, it's up to you. All right, so there we go, guys. So that's the last part of the review. And so now you're ready for your test. Let's go.